class.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Felicia, and welcome everyone to a last minute floral gifts class. So we don't have much time before Christmas, and Hanukkah starts the day after Christmas too. So we don't have much time to get together a couple of last minute gifts. If you're traveling somewhere or going over someone's house for the holidays, it might be really lovely for you to just bring one of these last minute floral gifts. They are not very difficult to make, and they are also pretty affordable, all things considered. A real live floral centerpiece could cost you 60, 70, 80, and above kind of dollars, not to mention the delivery, and we all know how delivery is these days too. So make it a little easier on yourself. Take a quick trip to Michael's, buy a handful of floral picks, buy a container, and I'm going to show you how you can put all of those things together in order to make something really beautiful that can last not just this holiday season, but next holiday season and the future as well. So let's go ahead and switch over to my other camera, and I'm going to show you some of the things we're going to be working on today. So this is the peppermint floral piece that we're going to be focusing on. I kind of have it on a little turntable so that I can kind of work on it and show you so that you can see all of the intricate workings of how we're going to put this together. But I also have some other options for you. We have so many cute, cute, cute containers at Michael's right now. So this Santa face is also an absolutely adorable container that's still available. The holiday containers are on sale. So I think the last time I checked, this peppermint is only $9.99. And the Santa, I believe, is also $9.99. So these are very affordable, very last minute. Go in, find something to put some flowers in, or go into your cabinets, see if you have any empty vases. And I'm going to show you how you can take anything that you have or anything that you're able to quickly purchase at Michael's and put it together in order to have a beautiful centerpiece or floral gift. So let's start with this peppermint. And in this particular floral arrangement, we have one bushel that's made up of some hydrangeas, these white hydrangeas, and also these big, beautiful red poinsettias. So there are bouquets that we sell at Michael's that come already kind of pre-arranged. And this is a lovely gift too, just as is. But when we take these apart and kind of unwrap them, then we can play a little bit more and we can add some things to it to get extra dimension, extra color, and extra fun for sure. So the one that I did here has poinsettias in it and white hydrangeas. This is another similar bouquet that has red roses and red hydrangeas. So we can use any of these kind of bouquets. They come as is. I believe they're only $5.99 right now, which is a really great price. So we can play with those. There are also some poinsettias that come in lots of different colors. So I kind of stuck them in here just so that I can kind of see my array of colors that I have to work with. We have some whites, some golds, some silvers, and a really pretty red maroon kind of color. These poinsettia stems are probably like $1.99, something like that. So grab a handful of those, maybe grab one of these in a container, and you're going to be good to go. Now, I'm also going to use some floral foam. And the floral foam is going to help me have a place in order to put the flowers in. So this floral foam is going to be in my containers. I wouldn't use the floral foam if I'm going to use a glass vase, but because this is fake floral, when you put these in, you are going to see your stems. People are going to notice that you don't have any water. They are going to be a little suspicious that this is fake floral and not real floral. So one of the ways that I kind of combat that or hide that is to use some vase filler. And kind of give it an, is this a goldfish bowl? Does it have water in it? Does it not have water in it? I don't know. But it also kind of gives us a place to play with the stems and push the stems into this different texture so that we can kind of arrange them and have different height and things like that. So if you think of questions during the class that you want to ask me about, or if there's something particular in floral that maybe has intimidated you in the past and kept you from working with it, let me know and see if I can help answer some of those questions. Here is an empty peppermint container. And I'm going to show you what I've already kind of done. I've taken, you can use the floral foam, you can use the white foam, you can use the styrofoam, Any of these foams are going to be great. This is a taller vase to put things into, so I wouldn't use gravel. I wouldn't use any rocks or anything like that because you're going to have to use way too many of them in order to get the height that you're going to need. So inside of this, you might be able to see that I've stacked a couple layers of this foam. And so all of this gives me places to put different stems in order to kind of make my arrangement at different heights and different levels. So I'm kind of filling the bottom with these strips of foam. And I usually tend to cut my floral foam or cut my styrofoam using a box cutter or some kind of blade like that. You can also use a knife. You can use a scissors, but just be careful if you're opening a pair of scissors and trying to do it that way. But go ahead and give yourself a really tall line of foam so that you have places to be able to stick these in. And then I'm going to take apart this first bouquet, and I'm going to be using some Michael's compound action pliers. These are great. They really cut through all the floral perfectly. If you have a smaller version of the wire cutters or stem cutters, all of that's going to work just the same, but this is just a heavy duty pair that I'm really kind of obsessed with right now because I just recently got it. So I'm still playing with it and having lots of fun with it. So I am cutting into this little ribbon or twine that's wrapping around this floral piece, just to kind of give me all the separate stems to play with and see what all elements we have inside of this particular bouquet. You can decide if you want just one and then you want to mix and match with something else, or if you think two and call it a day without any other mixing, because this does already have so many different options. We have our red hydrangeas and we have some either champagne colored, maybe a little rose gold, kind of little berries. I have another rose that has some pine sprig on it, which is nice. Some more hydrangeas and berries, different color berries this time. A couple more roses, a couple more hydrangea pieces that have these really nice greenery pieces as well. So I'm going to start with my roses because my roses are a little bit more intense and kind of a focal point for this. So I'm just going to start by literally starting to jab these into the styrofoam and find a place for it. And I'm kind of going to be working a little bit backwards so that I can show you what I'm doing. And you'll have to think if you want your centerpiece to be something that can be enjoyed 360 degrees around. If it's going to be in the center of a table and everybody's going to see it from all the different angles, you can make sure that you have it looking nice from all the angles. Or if it's going to be something that goes against a wall, maybe in an entryway, then you wouldn't have to pay attention to the back as much because you can just have all the fun facing this way. So mine is definitely going to be one that can be enjoyed from all the different views. So I'm going to put my little turntable here so you can kind of keep track of all the different ways that you might be able to see this. So far I kind of have these three, and I tend to use odd numbers when I'm working with my floral because I'm not trying to make it symmetric. I'm trying to kind of balance it, but not make it exactly the same on both sides. So I'm also going to take some of these hydrangea pieces and I'm going to add some of these hydrangea pieces in. And what's nice about all the levels of foam that I have is that if I don't push this one down all the way, then that gives me a nice extra height that I didn't have from the roses before. And maybe I add in another hydrangea over here. And you can have a different height. Maybe one more back here. And this is what it's looking like so far. A lot of red. We do have our peppermint. So to kind of counterbalance some of that extra red, I'm going to take one of my poinsettia little stems. And there are about 3 or 4 different poinsettias within this stem. So I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to cut these 4 pieces apart. And now I have 4 white poinsettias to kind of start putting around. I also want you to know that the leaves on a lot of these faux floral can move up and down. So if you prefer to take the leaves all the way off, or if you prefer to kind of put the leaf in a different direction, that can work for you too. So this is a great spot for this white To kind of start hiding some of this and kind of fill in the height that I've already been giving, maybe over here, do kind of the same thing. I'm going to move the stem of the leaf up a little higher. Put this in here. And these poinsettias are pretty inexpensive, so you can use a lot of them and give yourself a lot of foliage without a lot of money. I'm also putting one back here in the back just to kind of keep it so that I can see it from all the different angles. Looking good. Now we also have a lot of really fun berry picks, which have these different kind of maybe mistletoe. It might also be some pine. It might have some eucalyptus. It could potentially have some ornaments in it. All of these are various picks, and you can pull apart these picks and kind of use them in different ways. So you'll watch me pull this, kind of trim this wire off, and then I can kind of stick this into any of those empty places and do a little bit more filling. I'm going to leave one of them on this long piece so that if I need to, I can kind of add some more height. But I'm kind of ripping these off and pressing these in to my foam, which is doing a good job of kind of keeping all of this looking really nice. So there aren't any questions so far in the chat, but if you're thinking of something or you have something that's on your mind, any questions you might have, let me know in the chat. I'm also curious if anyone else still has shopping to do because I am not ready. I'm not ready yet. And I'm wondering if it's just me or if there's anyone else out there who's just not quite ready yet. Need a little bit more time. So I left this one on the stem so that it's longer. And I left that there on purpose so that I can kind of push this in and have it more towards the center. So these are the compound action pliers that I'm using. They're Ashland brand. They're really, really nice. They're so thick, so they can cut through very thick wires and different things like that. I feel like I still want something to kind of make this a little taller and make it a little fuller. So I'm going to look for some white or potentially silver berries to kind of put in here. Remember that I had these champagne berries, so maybe I don't want to put in a different color. I might want to stick in that same color scheme. I can also think about adding some more poinsettias. And I do have the option of these silver poinsettias or these kind of goldish poinsettias as well. Let me know which one you think would look better. Would you rather see me have this gold or champagne color, or would you rather have me add in the silver? Let me know which one you think. And I can do a little of both. I'm going to cut these apart. All right, I got a silver. Thank you for playing along. I need that help. I appreciate it. It's more fun to craft with someone else for sure. So I'm going to cut apart this silver one. And I like the silver too. I think that's a good idea to kind of pull in a little bit more of that lighter color with the peppermint. So I'm going to keep adding in here. There we go. Right here is where I just added the silver piece. I'm going to go a little bit more in the center too, because I think we need some more to be in our center. And I think maybe over here, I'm going to move these leaves up a little bit. And I love it. I think we are at a really good place with this. We did not spend a lot of money. We used one bouquet and we used 2 of the poinsettia picks. We also used 2 of the berry picks. So this is still a very good price point, but we have a really pretty low arrangement. What's nice about a low arrangement is people can still talk over top of it at the table, or you can put it off to the side. And because this is a flat piece too, it would be nice to have it in a doorway on like one of those little side tables or something like that too. So this is our first beautiful arrangement, kind of getting us a view all the way around. I feel like I might even want something else a little bit higher right here. Kind of
Megan, did
complete.
you see that someone said, see if you had any leftover from your gallery?
Yes, Jennifer's so smart. You're right. So Jennifer was here with me the other day when we made a beautiful, elegant gala wreath, and I think Felicia is going to drop the link for that particular class that's now on YouTube in the chat. But this was one of the picks that we used in the gala wreath, and why this is so pretty is it's got eucalyptus and it has these champagne colored leaves. I loved using these in the leaf, and the fact that I do have an extra one, and I'm so excited that Jennifer remembered, is could potentially be the exact perfect thing I'm looking for to kind of complete this look. So I love that we can mix and match with some of the other pieces that we've done together and really use some of those leftovers. But yes, I think this leaf right here is going to give me that exact height I was looking for, of just that one more thing to kind of draw attention. I absolutely think that was the exact thing, exact right thing to add. So Jennifer, good for you. Love it. This is a great piece that I'm going to kind of move off to the side and we can talk about one of our next pieces. I'll bring this back as a show and tell at the end. And if anyone is playing along, I would love to see what you're creating. So feel free to share with us at Learn with Michaels. You can tag us and we can share it. I also want you, if you are on Instagram, to make sure that you check out Learn with Michaels today, because we have 3 different Christmas trees that have been decorated with by some of our Michaels designers. They are absolutely gorgeous, and we're having kind of a little vote, like tell us which one is your favorite kind of thing. And then we even have the opportunity on our stories on Instagram today to add what your tree at home looks like. So I added my tree. My Instagram handle is 4M Coleman. So you'll see my tree with a big red bow on the top and some cool teal ribbon that wraps around. So you can check that out. That might be something fun for you to do to show off your tree. Yes, please check it out. So let's talk next about, what if I have a random vase hanging around my house and maybe I have 1 or 2 pieces of greenery or something from Michael's. What can I do to quickly make something that you could take along with you, walk out the door very, very quick? So another idea for filler is pine cones. So if you're going to have something that's glass and you will be able to see the stems, which might look a little bit awkward, you probably don't want to fill this entire thing with glass or stones, because it's going to take a lot of them to fill the space. These pine cones are going to give us some options. So I'm going to use these kind of as filler, just to get me kind of started with a really nice base. And then this time I'm going to kind of focus more on greenery. So we have a lot of really cool greenery picks. This one in particular is just really nice, kind of Christmas tree-like, with some pine cones. I'll make sure I cut off my tags so I don't leave any tags in my final design. And I can just plop this in, and this is going to be kind of a little bit taller. But then we also have a really pretty greenery bouquet that looks like this. So it has some pine cones, it has some different kinds of evergreen, some different types of pine. It also has just little sprigs of some greenery, which I think is just a really nice little bundle. I believe this is still about $5.99. It might be on sale. So just this can add to it. It's almost like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree at this point. It would be fun and it would be cute if you added a couple of little ornaments or something to that. That would be adorable and that would be hilarious. I particularly would find that amazing if you brought that to my house as a gift. I would think that was very funny. So I'm going to pull this apart. I'm going to cut open this twine at the bottom, and we're going to use all these greenery stems and berries to kind of fill out our Charlie Brown Christmas tree over here. as just something to kind of sit out. Now imagine you could also, besides the pine cones I have in the base of this, if this was some kind of potpourri, or if you added some of that pine scent to it, now that would be a treat. That would be something really special. So you can consider maybe adding some scent to this one. And I'm just kind of playing with these and spreading them out, especially if I have the berries, kind of doing some placement so that they don't feel too heavy on one side and not enough on the other. But this is what I have so far. And then we also had a class earlier, it might have been 2 weeks ago now, where we did some bow making. So if you have any extra red ribbon from our bow making class, I'm going to take this extra red ribbon and I'm going to wrap it around my vase. And this too, by adding this extra little touch of this ribbon and this bow, is also going to kind of hide the fact that this is faux floral. And there are some things in this vase that might look a little bit more fake than if this was a real piece. I loved the bow making class. We had so much fun together. So this is wired ribbon. I always use 2.5-inch wired ribbon. This is Celebrate It. And so this makes plenty of bows. I used it for a whole other class, and then I still had extra. So I'm going to keep fluffing this. Don't stop with your bow after you've tied your bow, like how you tie your shoes. Don't stop there. The reason why they put wire in it is so that you can kind of reshape your bow. And then also with these beautiful tails, you want to take your time and kind of cut these down. So I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut these into what we call dovetails. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll flip it back around and show it to you. So someone asked in the chat, how much space do you leave between the foam and the top of your container? It definitely depends on the container. So when I'm doing something like we did some floral in pumpkins, the hollow pumpkins, I left a lot of space because I really wanted to fill it in. When it comes to these peppermint holders, you want to put your foam very close to the top because a lot of the flowers I was working with were shorter. And so I needed them to be pretty close, the foam to come pretty close to the top of the container so that I could really check that out and make sure that I could kind of have them overflowing from the container instead of all being hidden down inside of the container. So right now I'm taking the scissors and I'm cutting on the diagonal to create these beautiful dovetails to go along. So if you just happen to have something in your closet or something in one of your cabinets from maybe a previous arrangement that you've had before, just add a beautiful 2.5-inch wired ribbon bow. I just tied it the way that you tie your shoes. And then I took the wire and made sure that I kind of reinvigorated those loops to make them look really pretty and really sharp. And then I attached these tails, cut them to be about the same length, and added the little dovetail feel to that. And I think this really adds to it. Now, this doesn't have to be fake. You could also go to, I love Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is not sponsoring me. I love Trader Joe's. I love Costco. I love running into a grocery store and grabbing a live bouquet or real flowers. So find something with greenery or with live flowers, put it into a vase, add this beautiful red bow, and I think you're going to be very excited and very happy with what you're able to make. That took me what, 2 minutes, and not very expensive at all. But if you were to receive this, I think you would be like, whoa, that's pretty impressive. So we're off to our second gift in just a matter of minutes. So let's keep going and see what else we can make together. I found another vase laying around. Apparently I have vases laying around here. And you'll notice that in the bottom of this one, I did decide to go with some kind of glass rocks. I actually had these left over from my Halloween miniatures class because we played with these in the bottom of a skeleton scene in a diorama pumpkin we were working with. So I had these left over. What's nice about these is that you can put stems in and it kind of works like foam, but still gives you something pretty that you can't see all the stems and you can't see the foam since it is fake and since this is glass. And I did decide to use the filler for this one because it's a pretty thin jar or vase. And so it didn't take more than a jar of the filler in order to give us a really nice base to work with. So I'm just going to take this. It kind of reminds me of like a lump of coal. You don't have to give someone a lump of coal. You don't have to call them out for being bad this year. But I do kind of like that it kind of gives you a little hint or a little nod to like Santa's boots or to a little bit of coal or maybe the bottom of a fireplace. It is still kind of wintry. It is kind of holiday, seasonally appropriate. So I think all that can work for us. So I'm pulling apart another one of these that we started with the rose and the hydrangea bouquets. So this is just one bouquet, but we have several different stems to play with. And this time I'm going to kind of show you how these stems are going to go into this gravel or kind of like glass bits. So it does work nicely like the foam where they can kind of stand up on their own and can kind of do their own thing. You can move this around. It's nice to kind of be able to change your mind if you're going to change your mind. You can have some where you don't push them all the way down so they can be a little bit higher. So you can kind of play with those levels the same way you could with the foam. Here's my hydrangea with my little berries. You can also cut these stems. So if I do need something to be a little bit shorter, because maybe my things are getting too tall, I can use my compound pliers or wire cutters in order to cut this a little bit shorter so that this one is going to be closer to the actual container and kind of give us more of that full look. And then I have another one over here that I think I'm going to like in the back. And this is wire, so I can bend these around if I want it to kind of face a different way. I can play with that. This is already looking pretty good, but we definitely need some more to fill it out. So this time I think I'm going to play with some of this frosted berry and pine or evergreen. And I'm going to see if I can pull these apart. Yep. And if you can't pull these apart, you can always just cut them. Of course, if I cut them right here, they're going to be pretty short. And if I want them to be longer, maybe I'll cut this one to be short right here, but I'm going to leave one of them on this longer stem so that this gives me plenty of height to kind of fill in. And then you can kind of see it popping through the back like that. And then I have these smaller pieces that I can kind of fill in and kind of get into the container. So you can see a little bit more of that. There's definitely a lot of blank space over here, so I'm going to try and fill that in as best I can with another one of these pieces. And this is already, again, starting to look really nice. I have another hydrangea piece, and I'm going to put it right about here and push it into my gravel or my glass filler. And then this is calling for a bow for me too. So maybe I have, let's see what bows I happen to have. We were talking about the gala wreath the other day. This is a really beautiful ribbon that we used in that same gala wreath. So I happen to have some of that that's extra. I also happen to have some of the gold shimmer we put on top of it that has these dots of kind of really pretty colors. So I could even layer both of these together, see what that looks like. We'll decide if we like that. Push this to the side a bit. There we go. So I'm going to take this green, kind of sage green, and I'm going to take this kind of confetti ribbon. Both of these are celebrated. One of them is 2.5 inches. This jade one is 2.5-inch wired ribbon. And then this other one is 1.5, which is why you can kind of get that cool layering effect. And I'm going to grab enough of this to be able to kind of wrap around. And it would be harder to do a bow with these, not impossible, but harder. because of the thickness when we put it all together. Looking for my scissors. You can imagine that my workspace has plenty of fun on it. There we go. I'm layering these on top of each other. And then I'm going to wrap these around. Let me do it facing me and then I'll turn it around for you. I'm just doing half of a square knot for now. I'll show you that. So I've layered these ribbons. I've done half of a square knot. And then I can decide if I want to try and turn this into a bow or if I want to knot this off as a knot and kind of go from there. So let me try a bow and see if we decide if we like that or if we're going to like a knot better. It'll be a little more challenging to tie a bow with this because it's two layers of ribbon. That will pick up the color from the berries and the confetti ribbon. You're right. Scarf treatment. It is like putting on a scarf. I love that idea. Okay, this is what I've got going on. I need to fix this. I'm going to use the wire to kind of pull out. I think I'm going to like this. Yep, I do think I'm going to like this. I'm twisting or untwisting the ribbon so that it can lay nicely. And I'm trying to put the confetti ribbon on top of the green ribbon. And this is why wired ribbon is our friend, because it's going to do what I tell it to do by just rearranging and using that wire as my friend. Over here, I'm going to be able to fix this pretty nicely too. Love it. And I don't have a lot of tail because I did cut this kind of short, but I'm going to flip this around so you can see it in just a moment. Have a little grand reveal. What do you think? I like it. I'm going to try and clean these up a little bit. Try and cut them to be closer to the same size. Imagine if you did crochet, you could crochet like a little mini scarf. Now that's not a last minute floral gift. That is somebody spent some time and really made you something special. But for a last minute gift, I think we will still be able to wow them with this little one. So I love the black at the bottom. I love that it's kind of small and compact. I love this double layer ribbon. And yes, I love that I've been able to use lots of different things from some of the other projects that I've been doing. Because why not? And then you'll have a full collection. If you have this next to the wreath that you use the same ribbon for, it's going to look like a beautiful collection that you've purposely made, not just this last minute, get it out the door kind of thing. So we are doing a great job so far with making some things. I think we have time for one more. I need to think what one more I want to show you. We have options. We can use this Santa container and I can kind of take it apart and we can make a different version of the same one. Or I have like a metal kind of bucket, sort of Christmas tree farm. This one is from Michael's from last year, but I know we still have some metal buckets in the aisles as well. So let me know, do you want me to try and make something using the Santa face, or do you want to see something more of kind of like a bucket farmhouse kind of thing? Let me know which one you'd rather see. Santa or bucket, it's your choice. Okay, yep, you're up for either. Me too, because I think I want to take apart the Santa face. Yeah, because now that you've seen this one, I'm going to go ahead and take apart the Santa and we can do it in a different way. Or you can kind of see, we did have these as an optional addition. So you can see the different picks. Felicia can list those for you, or she probably did at the beginning of the chat, that this is an optional arrangement. So these picks are a little different than the picks we started with the peppermint container. One of the picks in here is this really pretty snowflake that we can use, and it really just made that extra height on this particular arrangement and gave it somewhere kind of focal to look and just add that touch of winter. So let's play with this and see what we can come up with. We can use some of the floral that I just took out, or we can kind of use something different. We've also been talking about how we have some of the leftovers from some of our other things. I have plenty of those poinsettias left to play with too. So many fun things to play with. I mean, all right. Let's see what I got. I have some of this. I have some really cool pine cones. I have these tall sprigs we were using before in the planter we did with the pine cones at the bottom. So this is really tall, could give me a lot of height to kind of get behind the Santa. And look, just right now where it is, it kind of gives Santa a little hat or a little spray on top of his head, which I like. So that's fun. We can play with that. We could add in some poinsettias. I also just keep being drawn to this particular one too. This was another one that we used in our pine cone picture, where we had all of these cool greenery pieces. Because maybe Santa's going to be a little bit more greenery than floral, or maybe you go all flowers. That's completely up to you, but let's see what we do. So they're telling us in chat that there's also a tabletop bag and a tabletop Santa boots. So if you find the container that looks like Santa's bag or that looks like Santa's boots, that sounds like something really fun to play with as well. Over the summer, I think it was, I found a planter at Michael's that was like a tropical woman, like wearing kind of a headscarf and kind of looked like the Chiquita Banana Lady a little bit. And I put all kinds of hydrangeas coming out of her head. If you go back through my Instagram on 4M Coleman, you might be able to find it, but it was so gorgeous. I just really like these planters that kind of start with somebody's face or kind of starts with that and then pretend like you have the hair coming out. I really like those too. All right. I mean, I keep picking this up, so I feel like it's going to go. And for the question about how much foam, basically I took a block of foam and put it in. If you want to kind of add more pieces to the side, you can, but you'll notice that once I get my block in, I really leave it where it is because I can always put stems over in these places, but then I still have plenty of places to be able to stick all my different floral. So let's see if this is going to work or if this might be too tall and I might need to bring this down a little bit. So I'm going to cut this. And you will also notice when you start working with this floral a lot that there are these little notches and these little divots, which are kind of like recommended places to cut these. So it's a little easier to cut at those recommended different levels. And especially if you're trying to do a floral arrangement, several floral arrangements that look exactly the same, it's important to kind of keep some of those milestones to know. I always cut this one at this notch or at the second notch so that you can kind of keep them looking similar or looking the same. So here's my first sprig of Christmas Santa. I'm also going to go for it with the pine cones. I'll probably save these pine cones until I get a little bit more in there because I think these are going to fill pretty nicely. And I'm going to use some more of this greenery just to give it a different look than the Santa we had before. But if you want to make exactly the same Santa that we had in the picture, just go ahead and keep looking at that picture. It's still on Michael's website. And you can take apart your bouquets and your picks in the same way that I'm doing right now. And just keep playing with your arrangement, cut the stems to different lengths, put them into different levels in your foam. And I bet you're going to come up with something that's also going to look amazing. I like that this is a brighter green. So I want to make sure I get that brighter green on the other side too, even if it's not exactly the same, just to kind of make that brighter green happen over there too. I am enjoying all the different greenery for sure. So this is just 2 of our stems so far that have been able to fill up this Santa look. I do like this taller one in the back still, but I'm glad that I still have a pick like this one to kind of match that height so it's not just that one piece hanging out there very high. I do have a lot of berries over here, but I do have another pick of berries that I can kind of balance out on this side. Oops. The wire bent when I was sticking it in. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Let's see what else. I think this is a very cool pick that has these snowballs on it. It might be even fun as is. Let's see if it's an as is. If we stick that in there, what that might look like. I want to hide it. I think I kind of like that. Make sure I can still see my little snowball a little bit. Okay, I can see when I turned it this way that I have some gaps I want to work on. So I have another one of those same picks I was just showing you with the snowballs. So I'm going to turn this towards me so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Not flying so blind. All right. And I'm going to turn that for you. So now you can see I stuck another one up with the white snowballs in here. I think I want these to be able to come forward a little bit. There we go. I like that. I like this kind of snowball kind of hanging off to the side. I'm seeing a spot right about here that I want to fill in with something. And I think I want to fill in with something red. So I have plenty of options. One of the things we suggested for the Santa was these little ornaments, or kind of almost like little candies. So let's put these in here and see what that looks like. That adds to the jolly for sure. I'm going to push them down a little further so they don't hide the snowballs. And these are on wires also, so I can kind of direct them into different positions if I want them to be going in a different way. I like that. And I also have, remember this big white snowflake we were talking about before too? Trying to do it backwards. I think this is the spot I see kind of. I feel like this is, one of these is kind of coming up too far in the front. I want to push back. What do you think? I can tell this is one I wasn't preparing for the back. You might have seen a pretty bald Santa back here. So because it is a Santa's face, I would probably lean this more towards a wall. I wouldn't put this in the center. So we don't want Santa's back to be turned to anyone. And that is looking pretty adorable. I feel like I still need a little bit left in the front. So we had some of this leftover red kind of frosted berry pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and put 1 or 2 of those in the front and see how that does. Ooh, I like that. And I might as well go ahead and put a little bit more of this red berry frosted piece off to the side. And we have created our own unique look for this Santa, different than the one we already had, but equally adorable. And I really like the way that this ended up turning out too. So I used a total of 2 floral blocks For the pieces that I've shown you today, I only used probably half of a block, maybe a little bit more than half of a block in the Santa container. And when you end up cutting up the different pieces for the peppermint one, it would probably be another block or pretty close to it. So probably 2 blocks altogether, but let's have a nice show and tell. You can tell me in the chat which one of these fast floral arrangements is your favorite. So first up, we had our peppermint display. And I love, love, love these little champagne stems coming up. This is our peppermint. And then we moved on and we found a vase. And so we took the vase and we filled it with pine cones, and we just have a greenery piece that's quite lovely to give to someone quickly with this quick bow, just like tying your shoes, and fluff it up, cut your little tails. I love that one. Then we had our, maybe it's coal, maybe it's some soot, but we have our cute little glass holder. We put a double ribbon over here with a bow. We had some of our frosted cranberries in here. All of these look so cool. We have our roses, hydrangeas, berries. This looks adorable. And then we whipped up our Santa's container. And we have our Santa with lots of festive pieces coming out, a big kind of display of floral so that everybody knows it is Christmas and we are ready to party. So one last thing I want to show you before we go. We mentioned before that we have, I'm going to move it out of your face. There we go. We had a gift wrapping class and bow making class. And so Felicia has that link. I think she dropped it earlier in the chat as well. And so during that class, we made some of these beautiful bows with all different kinds of ribbon, all different kinds of bows too. The wrapping that we did in the class was not anything extraordinary, no special techniques, just pretty normal wrapping. But if you're someone who really doesn't know how to do some of the basic wrapping, this might be something you want to go back and look at. And the reason why I'm pulling this back out is because, once again, all of these picks, these floral picks, are beautiful, beautiful accent pieces that you can just stick into a gift to really just add that one extra touch. So if you want someone to know that this is the extra special, most beautiful gift, you can just add a little floral pick. It can be any of these berries. It can also be some of these stems, some of these floral stems as well with the poinsettias, that you can add a little poinsettia into here. You can also take these poinsettias off. They pop off pretty quickly. And you can kind of put that in here in the center of one of your bows and just hot glue that on. So you can add just one last touch. Here's another present that we wrapped together the other day. And we had this beautiful disco bow with this really nice disco ribbon we sell at Michael's. So I'm refluffing this bow since I've kind of had it under my tree and started stacking things. But this is another one where you can take something, maybe you even take the snowflake or take one of these poinsettias and just throw that into here and add something even more glamorous, something you already have. So I just wanted to show you a couple more fast. Go to the store, go to Michael's, grab a handful of pieces of greenery, make sure that you have your wire cutters, and then go to town with a lot of the different things that you might even have already at home. Put them together with your presents, put them on centerpieces, put them next to plates for a beautiful tablescape. Any of those things can be done so quick and so easy and still just really add that beautiful extra element. So from me and Felicia, we would like to wish you very happy holidays. We have one more class tomorrow, and then we'll be taking a 2-week break so that we can all enjoy our family and friends as well. So I hope that you are able to join us tomorrow for a little bit of last minute wood burning. But until then, and until we meet again next year, I hope that you keep making, keep crafting, and thank you so much for coming and joining us again today. Bye, everyone.